Over the nearly 7 decades that I've been alive, I've had a few very good friends. I can remember back when I was a kid, I had a good friend who lived in my neighborhood, and we were almost inseparable. I'm so grateful for good friends. When I was in junior high, I had another good friend. Same thing, I could trust him, and throughout my life, there seems like there's always been somebody. Not always, but there's always been somebody I could trust, but not always. I've had other people I thought were good friends, and they turned out to be, well, psychopaths or narcissists or just fake friends. How do you know? Well, what I've learned over the decades is to identify certain characteristics of individuals, and this tells me this is a good friend, or this is not a good friend. This is a fake friend, this is a narcissist. Well, what are those telltale signs? What are those red flags? Let's talk about it. Well, number one is this. If you have a friend who is kind of what we call hit and miss, I mean, they're in, they're out. Sometimes they're with you, sometimes you got no idea where they are, haven't heard from them in weeks, maybe months, maybe longer. Chances are that is a fake friend. That is someone with traits of a narcissist, maybe a full-blown narcissist. Who knows? Now, I had a friend as an adult, and this guy would come around and a very loyal friend, very good guy, he's got your back, and then he'd disappear. Wouldn't hear from him, wouldn't see from him. You'd kind of go after him and say, hey, what's up? And he didn't want to talk, whatever. And I remember one time he disappeared for like, man, over a year. And I wondered, what in the world is up with this guy? I didn't know. So finally, I discovered sometime later, well, years later, really, that he had been in jail. Apparently, he had been, what do they call that? Check kiting or check check deception. So apparently, he was not only a bad friend to me, but he was a bad friend, a fake friend to a lot of people. So how do you know? Well, if someone is hit and miss, if they're in and out of your life, do you have a friend like that? That's a red flag. That may be a fake friend. That could be someone with narcissistic traits. Number two is if a friend will betray your confidence. Have you ever told somebody something in absolute confidence? Maybe you even put it in those words. I do that sometimes. I will say, confidentially speaking, let me tell you something. One lesson that I've learned over my many years is that if you tell one person something, you may as well go ahead and tell the whole planet. Sometimes there are people who you can tell things in confidence and they will keep them in confidence. Not too many people will do that because they will tell one other person in confidence. And they will tell one other person in confidence. And after several people get told in confidence your private thing, your secret, before you know, the whole world knows it. So I have this little saying: if you tell one person, you may as well tell the entire planet. Now there are some people that who are near and dear to me that I will tell them things in confidence. For example, my wife or my siblings or maybe my kids. But beyond that, probably not. But still, there are people who are not that close to me that, yeah, I can tell them something in confidence. And it's usually safe. I usually don't do that just to be safe. But there are other people, it doesn't matter. They're your good friends, but you tell them something in confidence, and next thing you know it, the whole planet knows it. And when that happens, you can be fairly sure that is somebody who does not have your back, someone who does not have your best interest in mind. Why is that? Well, because they're more interested in letting other people know that they have some insider information than they care about you. That's a fake friend. That is a friend with narcissistic tendencies, in my opinion. Number three is, and this is really a big one for me, and that is somebody who will celebrate your failures, or someone who will celebrate your those hurts that you have in life, those downturns that you have in life. Say that you have a financial downturn, or you have a physical problem, whatever. And they'll tell the whole world, not just to spread gossip for the sake of gossip, but they're happy about it. They're cheerful about it. That, in my mind, is almost certainly a trait of a narcissist. And I tell you why: because narcissists depend on supply. That is something that boosts their ego. And when someone is doing poorly, in their mind, more poorly than they are, that boosts their ego. That is their supply. They're just flat out cheerful. I mean, they're happy about it. I recall several years ago, I was trimming hedges in my backyard, And these were high hedges, so I had to climb up on a ladder. And I leaned into the hedges, and when I leaned in, my ladder leaned out, and I fell. I thought nothing of it other than it kind of hurt, when I fell, and I had to find my glasses, and my shoes fell off and all that. But, I pulled myself together, put my tools away, and went inside, kind of licked my wounds, but I didn't feel that bad. Until my head started hurting, and then it hurt even worse, and I told my wife, this is a problem. So she took me to the emergency room, and they immediately put me on, what do they call those things? Lifeline helicopter, flew up to the hospital, and I went into a coma on the way up there, and immediately I was in surgery, and they said it was a matter of seconds, literally, or minutes, whatever. I would have lost my life if we had not gone to the emergency room. And my dear friend, my dear beloved, well, my dear Christian friend, I got to throw that in. Boy, he was excited about that. He thought that was great. He told everybody. I mean, he was celebrating. Somebody got hurt, and he is happy about it. Do you have a friend like that? That's probably somebody you might want to check off your friend list. And I don't know you personally. I don't know the personal, individual circumstances, but I'm just saying, from my point of view, that person was somebody you check off your friend list, like I'm saying permanently. It's just that you don't uncheck the box, you just remove the box. I mean, they're just not a friend. Number 4 is someone who does what I call hurtful comments. Do hurtful comments, says hurtful comments, be the better way to say it. They say hurtful comments about you. Why? Well, they're devaluing you. Now, they will say these things sometimes behind your back, well, often behind your back, but they also like to ridicule you, put you down to your face. Now, I think most of us, if we have a good friend, we kind of tease each other. We'll say things that probably we shouldn't say, but it's all in good fun. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about somebody who is ridiculing you, trying to humiliate you on purpose so they can put you down, so they can elevate themselves. And what is that we just said? That's a trait of a narcissist. They got to put you down to put themselves up. Now, the word humiliate comes from the same word, Latin word that we get the word humus, which basically means dirt. So when we're talking about humiliating somebody, we are literally saying we're going to treat them like dirt or push them down to the ground. We're going to put them in the dirt. When someone humiliates you constantly with ridicule, and again, I'm not talking about innocent, playful teasing. That's something totally different. But someone who's just putting you down all the time so that they can elevate themselves at your expense, you might want to check them off your friend list. You might want to consider this is a person who needs a narcissistic supply at your expense. Number 5 is someone who is always, always, always asking for favors, and it seems like it's always one way. I mean, they are highly offended if you ask them for anything. But when they need something from you, they expect you, well, it's almost like you're obligated because they're just special. And it's kind of like your job to do favors for them. They may ask you for a ride. They may ask to borrow money. They may ask you to do something for them that you would normally not do. Now, I don't mind asking people for favors. I've got this old car, for example, that I bought when I was in high school. I mean, I've had this thing over 50 years, and it's it has manual steering, before power steering. Some people don't even know cars have power steering, but they do. But back in the day, they had these monster steering wheels, and they didn't have power steering, and they were hard to steer. And this one has a stick shift, the clutch and all that. And it's kind of fun to drive, but, I took it out for a drive, and I got around the block, and I took it back home because, man, I'm having some difficulty with inflammation, and it's just painful to drive. So I called up a friend, and I said, would you take my old car out for a drive? Because, you can't let the thing sit all the time. So, yeah, he came over, did me a favor. Took my car out, drove it around the country for a while, brought it back home. I paid for the gas, yep. And I don't mind asking people for favors. I'm not technologically savvy. So sometimes I need to ask people to help me out with things like computer, or maybe how do you work the cell phone thing, You would be amazed how much I don't know about technology. And sometimes I amaze myself how much I do know about technology, but I can tell you this. Everything I've learned, most everything I've learned about computers, I've learned by making mistakes. So I'll screw something up and I'll say, oh, that's how that doesn't work. And then I'll learn not to do that again. But the point is, if you have someone in your life and they always want you to do them a favor, but they don't want to return favors, chances are that's a fake friend. That may be somebody who is a narcissist, somebody you may want to consider moving to the outer layer of your friendship onion, so to speak, or maybe just say goodbye to them altogether. Number 6 is if they make you an outsider. Most everyone has a social circle. Most everyone has a circle of friends. Some are close. I called it a moment ago the friendship onion. Some are close, like the inner, what do you call that, inner peel or whatever. Then some are not so close, like the outer peel. But you have this friendship onion, this social circle of friends. And that is true of all your friends. You have friends and your friends have friends. So there are some people who want to lock you out of their circles of friends. I can understand that logic to some degree, but I can also see where somebody absolutely positively wants to isolate you totally, completely, like you are living in hibernation and they don't want you to know anyone that they know ever. There may be a good reason for that, at least in their mind. And that is they may be fearful that you are going to turn on them and contact all their friends, which people do that now and again. I'm not sure that's horribly a bad thing, but because that's what narcissists do. When they are done with you, you know, they go through the love bombing stage. They go through the stage where they have you entrapped and snared in their web of deceit, and you're going along with them. Then starts the abuse, and once you catch on to it, finally, there is a discard, and you're gone. You're out of their life. Hopefully, except then they start the smear campaign, or they upgrade the smear campaign. How do they do that? Well, they go to all the circles of friends that you have introduced them to, everybody they know that you know. What I have found is that narcissists, not only will they go to your circles of friends, all those people that you know, and try to smear you, but I've also learned that they expect you to do the same to them, and because of that, they don't want you to know who their friends are. I mean, seriously. If you are with a friend and a friend maybe says, you know, I need to stop by the store, but you stay in the car. I'm talking about to that extreme level because he doesn't want you to know that he and the clerk are on good terms. I mean, that's kind of silly, right? Yeah, but I know people that actually do that. So there are some people who want to constantly make you the outsider. They want to be the insider at school. They want to be the insider at church. They want to be the insider in the neighborhood. They want to be the insider, what else? Social club. I don't know where else you socialize. They want to leave you outside. They want to make sure that you are not at their social status. They're always above you. That is a sign that your friend is fake, probably has strong narcissistic tendencies, somebody you might want to, hate to use the term kick to the curb, but that's probably appropriate. Number 7 is they just don't want your advice because, well, what do you know? I mean, they know everything about everything. Talk about favors. These people, they will ask you to do things for them, but they don't want your advice on anything. Because, well, they're smarter than you, and what do you know? So if you're doing something together, you and your friend, or maybe you're with a group of friends, or maybe it's family, they want to do what they want to do, and they expect you to go along with them. And if it's a group, they expect the group to go along with them. If you go on a hike with 10 people, they want to be the guy who's the head of the line all the time. You guys want to go out to eat somewhere, you and your friend, he will tell you where to go because, well, that's the right thing to do. Doesn't matter what you think. And when to go. Does it matter? You know, when I was in school, college, I had a friend, and every a few weeks, his dad would send him money, just a little bit to tide him over while he's in school because he didn't have a job, because he was focused on his studies, I guess. He was a good kid, but the thing I noticed about him was you could always tell when his dad sent him money because he wanted us to all go out and get pizza. He didn't stop to consider that the rest of us didn't have money. We couldn't afford it, but he had money and he didn't care about everyone else. I say he didn't care, he just didn't think. And that wasn't a serious problem. He's a good guy, but people just don't think when it comes to things like that. But if you have a friend who never wants your advice, he always wants to do it his way, and he has no concern or consideration whether or not you're even able to do that. Or if you want to do it, well, what's that got to do with it? He is a narcissist, probably. He or she knows better, and how can they possibly lead you wrong? Because, well, they are who they are. See those two rectangles on the screen? Yep. Well, if you want to keep talking, let's keep our conversation going. All you got to do is click one of those two rectangles, and we'll keep on chatting. If not, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.